Hi there. Welcome to the Imperfect Prophet podcast for women who wonder. Frankly, as we go through life, I'm sure we wonder about a great deal. First as little kids, then as adolescents, then as young women, then as transitional women. What are we calling ourselves these days? And then you get to this point in life, or my point in life, when you're postmenopausal and wondering what's next. Wondering if the parade already passed you by. Join me, Wonder Wendy. I'm going to be your host as we talk about some of these unique challenges that face women today in a new millennium, going through menopause and trying to live a rich, full life. There might even be a few men and younger women that want to listen in too. That's okay. But there's a roller coaster and we're all on it. And I'm going to be your guide to help you figure out when you should close your eyes, when you should hang on, and maybe we'll explore some ideas for what works for you if it doesn't work for me, or vice versa. So join the conversation, pick up your favorite beverage, and we'll talk to you soon. Welcome to the Imperfect Prophet.
2026, the space between fantasy and a plan, a year of dreams. Here we are on the verge of a new year, and I've got a glass of bubbly, and I invite you to toast with whatever you have at hand, whether it's coffee, tea, soda, or even water. Because the important part isn't what you're drinking, it's sharing a moment together. So, last year, I challenged you to have a year of yes, to say yes to experiences, yes to possibility, yes to feeling life bigger again. If you've forgotten that episode, I think it was December 15th of 2024, and I encourage you to go back and listen to it again. Because so many of you told me what happened when you said yes. To trips, to conversations, to chances you might have talked yourself out of before I made that suggestion. Now, this time of year is strange, isn't it? We're encouraged to look ahead while we're still tired from the year behind us. And what a year it has been. Highs, lows, new opportunities, scary things. Looking forward optimistically can feel, vulnerable when you're not sure you've recovered. It's a lot. This year, I'm going to invite you to do something different, something quieter, something more internal. This year, I invite you to dream. But here's the thing. We need to talk about the difference between fantasy, dream, and plan, because they aren't the same thing. And confusing them, that can keep us stuck. Fantasy is untethered. It's unattainable by design. It's a wish that lives safely in our imagination precisely because it never asks anything of us. Fantasy says, wouldn't it be nice if, and then gently floats away. Like the fantasy of winning the Mega Millions. It's beyond your control and completely unattainable if you didn't buy a ticket. That kind of fantasy keeps us passive. It asks nothing or participation. The dream, though, a dream is different. A dream is something we allow our subconscious to create when we stop editing ourselves. It's the quiet whisper of maybe someday. It isn't fully formed yet, but it feels true. It lingers. It follows us. It keeps tapping us on the shoulder. And that's where the plan comes in. The plan is what separates a dream from a fantasy. And this part really matters. You don't start with the plan. You have to dream it first. So as we stand on the edge of a new year, I want to invite you gently bravely to dream. Not to decide, not to commit, just to dream. Dream of your best self. Dream of your best community. Dream of your best life. Don't worry about how. Don't rush to logistics. Don't ask permission from practicality. Let yourself imagine what could be. Because dreaming isn't frivolous, it's foundational. From what you imagine, some of the best relationships, careers, communities, and second acts are born. But I am afraid the thing that tries to shut those dreams down first is fear. Fear will try to box in and limit your dreams. See if you can set that aside for now. There will be a time to face fear later, but for now, let those dreams remain free and put that fear in the box instead. And with that, I welcome you back to another episode of The Imperfect Prophet with me, your host, Wonder Wendy. And this is the space where we talk about living a wonderful life, not being perfect, but by being present, curious, and brave enough to listen to those quiet nudges that say, there's more for you. Do you have your beverage? Remember, it's always more convivial if we share a beverage. You can be in festive mode or just hydrating. You do you. Today's episode is about dreaming, but dreaming with discernment, about understanding the space between fantasy, dream, and plan, and why getting that order right matters as we step into 2026. Discernment is, well, wise seeing. It's not just about judgment or criticism. It's about clarity. Let's put that in human terms. Discernment is noticing what feels true beneath the noise. It's the pause between impulse and action. It's listening not just to what you want, but what is right for you now. So let's begin. Somewhere along the way, many of us were taught that dreaming had an expiration date. Adulthood, we were told, means being realistic, responsible, sensible, serious. I remember that when I was contemplating college, my father said to me, very matter-of-factly, "You've had your fun. Now it's time for something more serious." And I understood exactly what he meant by that. Throughout high school, my passion had been theater. I performed in almost every high school production during those 4 years. It lit me up. It felt like me. It was the place where I felt most alive. But the message was clear. Adulthood means putting aside those childhood ways. In his mind, responsible people did not pursue the theater. And many of us were taught some version of that. Certain passions are acceptable. Others are indulgent. Worse yet, there are those who doubt our capabilities and plant the seeds of doubt. Who told you it was time to stop dreaming? Was it a parent, a teacher, a boss, a partner? Or was it simply the accumulation of raised eyebrows and well-meaning advice? I'm willing to bet you've heard that message at least once. If you're my age, probably more than once. And then there's disappointment, loss, failure. We tried something. It didn't work. We didn't get chosen. The door closes, or at least it feels like it does in that moment. It becomes very easy to believe what failure is well, the end of the road rather than part of the journey. Most successful authors, artists, entrepreneurs, you name it, will tell you that their early years were filled with rejection. Manuscripts declined, ideas dismissed, silence where encouragement should have been. Stephen King's Carrie was rejected 30 times. I've heard he threw the manuscript in the trash, only to have his wife retrieve it and encourage him to keep going. Carrie, I mean, who hasn't heard of that, right? Yeah. How about Oprah Winfrey? She was told she was unfit for television news. Rejection didn't mean their dreams were wrong. It meant the path wasn't yet clear. Fantasy can feel safer than dreaming because fantasy doesn't require vulnerability. Trying again is hard. I used to have this fantasy about doing a series of backflips. It is such a beautiful motion. But honestly, well, I never studied gymnastics, and without some serious changes in training, reality, and possibly physics, that one stays firmly in fantasy. But here's the thing, letting go of dreaming altogether, well, that's what kills the human spirit. Now, I may never be a world-class gymnast. Okay, I never will be a world-class gymnast. But through yoga, I am getting more flexible and I am improving my balance. I am becoming someone who moves through the world with more ease. Working towards a dream can change who you become, even if the destination itself shifts. You once heard Mary Kay say, you remember Mary Kay, the Pink Commandos, the makeup queen? She said, shoot for the moon. Even if you fail, you will land among the stars. Now, I'm not sure that was her original thought, but it's where I first heard it. And whether or not she coined it, the sentiment matters. And it matters especially in midlife. We need to be reminded that it's still okay to shoot for the moon, for lofty goals, for the things we let go of, for whatever reason. In midlife, we've experienced setbacks. We've heard no. We've been told, sometimes explicitly, that we're too old. And sometimes we've told ourselves that story, even more harshly than anyone else could. Here's one example. Last fall, I sent my husband to fantasy baseball camp with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, this is not fantasy football where they sit around and drink beer and talk about statistics. No, these are full 9-inning games coached by professional staff made up of Diamondbacks alumni, professional baseball players coaching them. He protested. At 70, he said he was too old, too out of shape. It was too late. But he went. On one of the days that they got together to practice for the camp, he got 3 stitches in a training game. That was before camp even started. But that fat lip made him an icon at camp. Everyone knew the new guy. Over that week, they played 7 9-inning games. He slept for 3 days after he got home. But he made a legendary outfield catch that ended another player's 27 for 27 hit streak. Ha. The story of that catch continues to grow to epic proportions and may well be one of the epic stories told at his funeral. Now, he's loved baseball his entire life, and he let too many realities get in the way. Yeah, air quotes on those realities, right? In 2025, he threw out the first pitch at an Arizona Diamondbacks game. Yes, it was ceremonial, but it was still a strike, and the team went on to win, calling that a successful first major league outing. When was the last time you let yourself dream without immediately explaining why it wouldn't work? Let me say that again. When was the last time you let yourself dream without immediately explaining why it wouldn't work? Let's apply a three-way test: fantasy, dream, or plan. Fantasy asks nothing of us. Fantasy leaves everything to chance. A dream, well, that invites us to participate. Wouldn't it be nice to win the lottery? A dream changes us. I've always wanted to. And notice how your body reacts when you finish that sentence. And a plan that supports what we're becoming. If I start saving, if I take a class, if I make one connection, how about you start reading about what would be involved to get towards that dream? Now, that plan shouldn't cage the dream. It's meant to give the vision somewhere to land. So how do we actually start dreaming again? Not performing a dream, not posting a dream, not necessarily even announcing the dream, but listening for it. Dreaming is something we should practice. Dreams don't have to be impressive. They don't have to make sense yet. They don't even have to be shareable. Your dream might be to find more time for reading or gardening. Or maybe you need to take a dance class because every time you watch dancers, your heart longs for that moment. These moments of resonance when you see something are invitations, asking you to pay attention. It often shows up in quiet moments, on a walk, for me in yoga, maybe in the shower, or while driving without the radio on. Or maybe there's a song that prompts you to think, I've always wanted to do that. It shows up when we ask better questions, like, what feels expansive right now? What version of me feels most honest? Who do I become if this is true? Here's a simple exercise you could try. You can journal it if that's what feels good for you, but just finish this sentence. In my best life, I am someone who. Fill in the blank. In my best life, I am someone who. Where does that thought take you? Post that prompt somewhere and think about it. Think about it until an answer comes to you. Don't fix it. Don't judge it. Just notice what comes up. When was the last time somebody asked you what you wanted or needed without any boundaries or rules? When was the last time you asked yourself and waited long enough to hear something unexpected? As we move into 2026, I want to relieve you of a little pressure. You don't need a resolution. Studies show that most resolutions don't even make it through the basic 30 days necessary to make it part of your behavior. You don't need a 5-year plan. At no point in my life would I accurately have told you my 5-year plan. Life always offers an interesting fork in the road, which makes me realize that it may be time to change directions. You don't need to turn every dream into a spreadsheet. Maybe you put together a vision board of what that dream would look like and start manifesting some of the things that end up on that vision board. Years ago, I attended a visioning event at the autumn equinox. We were all challenged to write a letter about what we saw in the next year. There was a lot going on in my life at that point, and I was trying to figure out which just one thing I should follow. Was it politics, theater, a new job? I wrote all those questions in my letter. The year that followed really surprised me. Within that year, I ended up on an advisory committee in the governor's office. I got back into theater, and I stayed in my job. Turns out I was capable of more than I thought. And by visioning it, by putting that energy out there and exploring the options, things started happening. There's that important plan part. I didn't know the how, but I started to ask and explore. I got involved with organizations that cared about the same political concerns I had. I volunteered with theatrical organizations and got to know the opportunities that were coming up. You don't have to know all the details, but you do need to start the ball rolling. If you don't, well, it risks staying a fantasy. Curiosity is often the first step. Exploration is often the first action. Now, some dreams are simply meant to be held for a while, to shape us quietly from the inside. Now, let's go back to that notion of discernment, of listening for the messages from the universe. And that can be whatever you think the universe is, whether it's God, a higher power, resonance, or just your own intuition. It's waiting for you to listen. Fantasy lacks discernment. It avoids reality entirely. Dream invites discernment. It asks, does this belong to me? And plan is discernment in motion. It asks, what's the next right step? Okay, bucket listers, dreaming doesn't make you unrealistic. It makes you alive. Let's redefine dreaming as a mature act, not a naive one. And here is your permission to imagine without embarrassment. It's okay to want more. It's okay to want something different. As we step into a new year, I invite you into something softer than a resolution and braver than a wish. You don't need everything figured out. You just need permission to imagine. Ask AI to envision you doing what your mind sees. And if what it generates, if that image resonates, post it where you will see it. Ask others if they can see you that way. Start finding ways to see yourself making that picture real. Let's make 2026 a year where we dare to dream. Not perfectly, not publicly necessarily, but honestly. A year where we dream of our best selves, our best communities, and our best lives. Yes, your dreams can move beyond yourself. Living into yourself can send ripples of positive change into the world around you. Have you ever noticed how people are attracted to, contented people? When one person starts dreaming out loud, it gives others permission to do the same. And from those dreams, when the time is right, we all will build. Cheers. But don't forget to stay hydrated. Taking your good care of yourself is key to everything. With love and wonder, I'm Wonder Wendy. Until next time, keep dreaming. We're going to have a great 2026.
Like what you heard here today? Then we should be friends. I suggest you join my Facebook group. It's a good way to connect. We can have a conversation. Ask me questions, whatever you want to do. It is called The Wonderful Bucket List Life. That's wonder-full bucket list life. Be a bucket lister and join me on this adventure. Or you can go to my webpage, which is Wonder Wendy and Friends, join the mailing list, learn about the book I wrote, adventures that are coming up in the future, and other podcasts. I look forward to talking to you soon, and stay hydrated. Have a great day.